All right, so are you ready to dive into something really different?
Always.
Okay, good. Because today we're looking at TATANKA
Oh, wow.
and their new album, Random Signals from a Starman.
I am so ready for this.
So, have you had a chance to look over the material?
Yeah, I've been digging through it, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, where do we even start? We've got this album, and it's AI generated, which is already super interesting. But then there's this whole social mission behind Tatanka, this whole movement they're building. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. So we have the album description, the lyrics to all 14 tracks, a profile on 𝗧𝗧𝗪, the artist who performs it with the orchestra, and even some quotes from Sitting Bull that appear on their website.
Yeah, I saw those Sitting Bull quotes. What's the deal with that? I mean, it's cool, but it seems kind of random.
I know, right? Totally unexpected. But I think it'll make more sense as we dig deeper. So should we start with trying to figure out who TATANKA is and what they're all about?
Yeah, let's do that. Their mission statement is music meets mission. What do you think that means?
Well, they're definitely not your typical orchestra. They're clearly using music as a platform for something bigger.
Right. And they're super focused on DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, like tackling climate change and inequality.
It's like they're saying music can be a force for good, for real change in the world.
Exactly. And they're putting their money where their mouth is, too, by showcasing 𝗧𝗪𝗪, this incredible Black, trans, Muslim woman artist.
Yeah, talk about representation. And I think that choice really connects to the album's themes, too, like being an outsider, searching for meaning in a world that's falling apart.
Oh, totally. And those Sitting Bull quotes, too. They talk about unity, respect for all beings, working together for a better future. It's like they're weaving together all these different threads: social justice, environmentalism, spirituality.
It's a pretty powerful mix. But okay, let's talk about this album, Random Signals from a Starman. What's the story here?
Well, it's like Bowie meets dystopia. Imagine a cosmic traveler falling to Earth, landing in this world ruled by technology, where everything's artificial and everyone's lost in this digital illusion.
Oh, wow.
He becomes this symbol of rebellion, a messiah figure challenging societal norms. Think Ziggy Stardust, but with even more edge.
I'm already hooked. And the track descriptions are wild. 5 acts of cosmic drama, a fallen starman, ancient powers, the world ending. It sounds intense.
It is. And then there's 𝗧𝗪𝗪's voice. It's like she's channeling the Starman's journey, this search for identity and meaning in a world that's gone mad.
It's giving me chills just thinking about it. Okay, so we've got DEI, the SDGs, Sitting Bull, and a Bowie-inspired dystopian opera. What's the message here? What's TATANKA trying to tell us?
That's what we're here to figure out. We're going to decode these random signals and see what kind of message they hold. And maybe, just maybe, it'll spark a revolution in our own thinking.
I am so ready. But can we start with 𝗧𝗪𝗪? I mean, I'm really intrigued by her story and why TATANKA chose to showcase her.
Yeah, me too. I think there's something really powerful about her being the voice of this album.
Like, she's not just a singer, she's a symbol.
Exactly. And her identity as a Black trans Muslim woman.
Yeah.
That's like a statement in itself,
Absolutely. It speaks volumes about TATANKA's commitment to DEI. And it also connects so deeply to the album's themes of being an outsider, searching for belonging, finding your voice. It's like her story is woven into the music.
Right. And think about it. They chose to showcase her, to amplify her voice in this album that explores a dystopian society where people are struggling to be seen and heard. It's like they're saying, hey, this is what we stand for. This is the kind of world we want to create.
A world where everyone feels valued and respected. That's a powerful message.
It is. And it's not just about words. They're putting it into action.
Yeah, it's more than just lip service. But can we talk about those Sitting Bull quotes for a second? They totally threw me off at first. Like, what do they have to do with an AI-generated Bowie album?
I know, it seems random. But when you actually read them, you start to see the connections.
What kind of connections?
Well, Sitting Bull was all about unity, respect for all beings, working together for a better future. And that aligns with TATANKA's whole vibe, don't you think?
Now that you mention it, yeah, I see that. Especially with the album's focus on a world on the brink of collapse. It's like Sitting Bull is speaking to that directly, urging us to come together and create a different path.
Exactly. There's one quote that really stuck with me. Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children. It's so relevant to the anxieties we see reflected in the album, anxieties about the future.
It's like he's giving us hope. Like, even in the face of chaos, we have the power to choose a better path.
Exactly. We just have to be willing to work together, to listen to each other, to put our minds together, just like he said.
Okay, so we've got DEI, the SDGs, Sitting Bull. It's a lot to wrap our heads around. But let's get back to this album. What exactly is Random Signals from a Starman about? Like, what's the actual story?
Okay, so picture this. A cosmic traveler, like an alien Ziggy Stardust, crashes onto Earth.
Right. Okay.
He lands in this totally messed up world, ruled by technology where everything feels fake and superficial, and it's on the verge of collapse.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Yeah. It's a pretty bleak picture. But then the Starman, he becomes this symbol of hope, this rebel leader who challenges the status quo.
So it's like a dystopian rock opera.
Exactly. But it's also a deep dive into the human psyche, this struggle to find meaning in a world that's lost its way.
And it sounds like it's asking some big questions, too. Like, what does it even mean to be human in this kind of world?
Oh, absolutely. And what happens when our perception of reality starts to break down? What happens when technology takes over?
Wow. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So those are questions the album literally asks. Or is that your interpretation?
Well, both, I guess. The lyrics are full of these really evocative images and metaphors that just make you think, you know?
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so in the song *𝗑ᗕᗕ𝗄, there's this line. The temples are changing what you believe. You can only dream of heaven now.
Whoa. Okay, that's deep. So they're saying technology is becoming our new religion.
Yeah, something like that. It's pretty thought-provoking, right?
It is, and I think it's super interesting that they're using AI to create music that's critiquing AI.
Oh, totally. It's like this meta commentary on the whole thing. Like they're using the very technology they're questioning to create art that makes us think about that technology.
Mind-blowing. So we're not just getting a cool sci-fi story here, we're getting a whole philosophical exploration of our relationship with technology.
Exactly. And I think it's really relevant to what's happening in the world right now. Like, are we losing our humanity in this digital age? Where do we draw the line?
Those are big questions, and it sounds like TATANKA isn't afraid to ask them.
Nope. They're definitely pushing boundaries and challenging us to think critically.
Okay, but before we get too deep into the philosophy of it all, I want to hear more about the music itself. I mean, what does an AI-generated, Bowie-inspired dystopian symphony even sound like?
Okay, so imagine this. You've got Bowie's glam rock energy, right?
Okay, yeah.
But then it's blended with these huge orchestral arrangements.
Oh, wow.
And then on top of that, it's all filtered through this futuristic lens.
Futuristic how?
Like they're using AI to create these totally otherworldly soundscapes. You know, like glitchy synths, warped vocals, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's wild. I can't even imagine what that sounds like. You got to play us a clip later.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But before we get too lost in the music, I want to circle back to those lyrics for a second. You mentioned that line about the temples are changing what you believe, right?
Yeah, that one really stuck with me.
Oh, for sure. That whole song, *𝗑ᗕᗕ, is just packed with thought-provoking lines like that.
So were there any other lyrics that really jumped out at you?
Oh, tons. Honestly, it's the kind of album you want to listen to with the lyrics right there in front of you, like highlighting and underlining all the good stuff.
Oh, I'm totally that person. I go through notebooks full of highlighted lyrics.
Me too. It's the best way to really absorb the message.
Okay, so spill the tea. What other lyrical gems did you uncover?
Okay, so in the opening track, Starman's Lament, there's this line that just hit me hard. Are you real when you're made to feel made up?
Oh.
It's like he's questioning his own authenticity in this artificial world. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're constantly performing a version of yourself, especially online.
Ugh, all the time. It's like social media is this giant stage and we're all just trying to project the perfect image.
Exactly. And it's exhausting.
So exhausting. It's like you lose yourself in this sea of digital facades.
Right. And I think the album is tapping into that very real feeling, that sense of being lost and disconnected, even when you're surrounded by people or, I guess, profiles.
And it makes you wonder, like, are we sacrificing our humanity in our pursuit of virtual connection?
It's a good question. And the album doesn't shy away from asking those tough questions. Like there's another line in Neon Reich that really got me thinking. I'm wasted on these dark delights I danced with you so far from my eyes.
Ooh, that's good. So he's talking about the emptiness of chasing pleasure, that sense of being numb, even when you're surrounded by stimulation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are we really connecting or are we just distracting ourselves from the void? It's pretty heavy stuff.
Okay, I'm definitely getting some existential vibes here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then there's Lipstick Messiah, which is all about challenging gender norms and traditional ideas about leadership.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. That's where he sings about being sexed up and slimy but morally righteous.
That's the one. It's such a bold statement.
Yeah.
Like, Who gets to be the Messiah, and do they have to fit into a neat little box?
It's like they're saying, screw your expectations.
Right. It's all about disrupting the status quo and forcing us to question our assumptions.
I love that. It's making me think, which is what good art should do, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of questioning assumptions, let's talk about the whole AI thing again.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're using AI to create music that's critiquing AI.
Exactly. It's like this meta commentary on technology and art. It's like, can a machine really create something soulful, something meaningful? Or are we just fooling ourselves?
Whoa, that's deep. It's like they're holding up a mirror to our own anxieties about technology.
Right. And it's not giving us any easy answers. It's just asking us to think critically and to engage with these complex questions.
I'm really starting to see why they called this album Random Signals from a Starman. It's like we're getting these fragmented messages, these glimpses into a possible future, and it's up to us to piece it all together.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's not a linear narrative. It's more like a kaleidoscope of ideas and emotions.
Okay, so the Starman is questioning his identity. Technologies are replacing religion. He's dancing with ghosts in a neon wasteland. Where does it go from there?
Well, things get really interesting in Act 3, where time and reality start to fracture. Like, he's haunted by his past, questioning his own existence, and it's all very trippy. Like, there's this song, The Glass Clock's Final Hour, where he sings, "It's a prisoner's cage, and I wrote its page, and all I can do is delay." It's like he's trapped by fate, like he can't escape his destiny.
Whoa. Okay, that's pretty dark. And how does that tie into TATANKA's whole mission of social change? It seems kind of pessimistic.
That's a good question. And it's something I wrestled with, too. But I think it's important to remember that TATANKA isn't shying away from the darkness. They're acknowledging the very real anxieties we face in a world that feels like it's on the brink.
Right, right. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Exactly. And I think by exploring these fears, by confronting them head on through art, they're also creating space for hope and resilience.
Okay, I get that. It's like they're saying, hey, let's not pretend everything is fine. Let's acknowledge the mess we're in, and let's figure out how to make things better.
Right. And I think that's where those Sitting Bull quotes come back in. They're like this reminder that even when things seem bleak, we still have the power to choose a different path. We have the power to create a better future, but it requires courage, wisdom, and a willingness to work together.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. The music, the lyrics, the artist, the mission, those Sitting Bull quotes, it's all part of a bigger message.
It is. And I think the message is this. We're living in a complex, challenging world. We're facing unprecedented technological advancements, social upheaval, environmental crises. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel like we're losing our humanity in the process.
Totally, I feel that way sometimes.
But I think Random Signals from a Starman is reminding us that even in the midst of all this chaos, there's still beauty, there's still hope, there's still the potential for connection and change. And it's calling us to action. It's asking us to choose hope, to embrace our shared humanity, and to use our voices to create a better world.
Wow. Okay, I'm getting chills again. So what happens next? What's the final act of this cosmic drama?
Well, you'll have to keep listening to find out. But I will say this. Well, you'll have to keep listening to find out. But I will say this. The final act is called End in the Beginning, and that's where all the pieces come together. The world as we know it, it ends. But it's not like a sad ending, It's more like a transformation, like a return to something, I don't know, like something more primal and basic.
So it's not all doom and gloom, like there's hope.
Oh, definitely. Remember those Sitting Bull quotes about like spring and rebirth?
Yeah.
There's a similar feeling in this last act, like a sense of renewal. It's like the album is saying, yeah, okay, things are falling apart, but that's just how new things begin.
Okay, I like that. It's like a reminder that destruction can lead to creation. But I gotta ask, does the Starman, survive?
Let's just say that he goes through a huge change. In the song, Dressed for the Funeral of the Sun, he's walking through this dying world, but he seems strangely at peace. It's like he's letting go of his old self and embracing the unknown.
Wow, okay. And what about everyone else in this dystopian world? What happens to them?
Well, there's this song called Ziggy's Lost Boys. And in it, he gathers all the outcasts, the misfits, the people who don't fit in.
The lost souls.
Yeah, exactly. And he leads them toward this uncertain future. It's like he's building a new tribe, a community of survivors who are going to start over together.
I love that imagery. It's like even when everything falls apart, we still have this instinct to come together, to find hope in each other.
Exactly. And that brings us back to TATANKA's message of unity and collective action,
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we've talked about the story, the themes, the artist, the mission, but I want to hear more about your experience with the music itself. What was it like to actually listen to this AI-generated sound?
Okay, so honestly, when I first heard they were using AI to create music, I was a little skeptical. Like, can a machine really capture the essence of Bowie? But I was so wrong. It's incredible.
What do you mean?
It's like it's both familiar and completely alien at the same time. It had that glam rock energy, but there are also these ethereal, otherworldly soundscapes. It's like they've created a whole new genre of music.
You're making me want to drop everything and listen to this right now.
You should. And the best part is it's available for free on TATANKA's website.
Really? Free?
Yeah. They're all about making their art accessible to everyone.
Wow, that's awesome. It really shows their commitment to inclusivity, not just talking the talk.
Right. They're walking the walk.
Okay, so we've reached the end of our deep dive into random signals from a starman. What are your final thoughts? Like, what's the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think TATANKA is calling on us to wake up, like to pay attention to the world around us, to how technology is changing everything, even our own humanity. And they're asking us to think critically, to question the way things are, and to imagine a better future.
And they're showing us that we can do that through art, through music, through storytelling.
Exactly. They're reminding us that even in a world that feels so chaotic and divided, we still have the power to connect, to create, to make a difference.
So to our listeners out there, we encourage you to check out Random Signals from a Starman. See what resonates with you, what challenges your thinking, what inspires you to take action.
We've been on quite a journey with this deep dive, haven't we?
We have dystopian landscapes, shattered identities, echoes of the past, and through it all, this music that's both haunting and hopeful.
We've really grappled with some big questions about technology, about what it means to be human, about finding meaning in a world that feels like it's on the edge.
And we've explored the possibility of a different future, one where inclusivity and sustainability are at the forefront.
So what will you do with the signals you've received? How will you use this knowledge to navigate the world around you?
What choices will you make to shape a future that reflects your values? Remember, you're not alone in this.
We're all in this together.
And as Sitting Bull reminds us, let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Keep searching for those signals that guide you, and never stop questioning, exploring, and creating.